What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we'll be talking about loops, which continues our discussion about control flow in Python. So what is a loop? Well, a loop is when we repeat a task over and over again until we satisfy a certain condition. There are two types of loops in Python. One is a while loop, which we'll start with, and the second is a for loop. So a while loop is basically when we run a task until a condition is not true anymore. So let's actually start with an example. So say we have a variable I, and we set I equal to 1, not I. And in order to start a while loop, we have to use the while keyword. And now we have to place our condition. So what is our condition? Let's just do while I is less than 5. So while this variable I is less than 5, we want to do a task. And let's just say this task is to print yet. Okay? So while this variable I is less than 5, so while this condition is true, we want to print yet. Now you may notice something wrong about this. I is always 1, so this is always true. So what this is doing is, really this is printing yay in a limited amount of times. That's not exactly what we want. We want to print this, we want to print yay 4 times while I is less than 5. So when I is 1, 2, 3, 4, that's when we want to print yay. So in order to do that, we have to increment I, so that this condition is eventually false. So to do that, we do I, and we have to reassign I, and we have to make I greater than what I already is. So to do that, we do I equals I plus 1. Okay, so this is called incrementing, and we're just making I, every time we run this while loop, we're just making I plus 1. Okay, so what this is doing now is saying while I is less than 5, it is I is 1, it's printing yay, and then it's turning I from 1 to 2. So I equals I, so 1 plus 1, so now I is 2. Then it's going to go back to the top and check if this is true. It is. So while 2 is less than 5, print yay. Then it's going to turn I into 3. While 3 is less than 5, print yay. I is 4, 4 is less than 5, print yay. When I is 5, 5 is not less than 5. So this while loop does not run, and it ends. The while loop is over. So we can see that it prints yay 4 times, as expected. So you always want to make sure that your condition is satisfied. You don't want to run an infinite loop. So if we take this away, you'll just see exactly what happens when I talk about an infinite loop. It's just going to keep doing this, and it's continuously printing yay. You can't even see it, but eventually your program is going to crash. That's not what we want. So always make sure that your condition is satisfied. Okay. The next type of loop is a for loop. So when we use a for loop, the reason we use a for loop instead of a while loop is because we may want something to run a set number of times, and that's what we use a for loop for. So instead of using the while keyword, the for loop, we use the for keyword. So with this, we can just do for I in range, let's do 5. So this is literally the exact same thing as this while loop, except we're using a for loop. So really anything you can do with a for loop, you can do with a while loop, okay? So, but you may prefer this way. This way, I would say, is the better way of doing this, instead of, because we know that we want to print yay 4 times. So I is a convention, so we use I. This I, actually, let's let's actually get rid of this so I don't confuse you guys. This I is not a variable. Well, it is a variable, but it's not instantiated. We're not declaring. We're not saying I equals 1. So I is a variable within this loop. Okay. So you can just imagine that I is 0, and then it's going to print yay. Then I is 1, print yay. I is 2, all the way until I is 4. So when we say range 5, we're talking 0 through 4. 5 is not inclusive. So it's going to print 5 times, but just know that I starts with 0. So actually to make this clearer, we're also going to print I. So you're going to see that it's going to print I, it's going to print 0 yay, 1 yay, 2 yay, all the way until 4 yay. So 0 yay, 1 yay, 2 yay. Okay? So just remember that it's not inclusive when we talk about range. And range is just a method that we use to count. So we're saying we can also do something like this. For I in range, if we don't want to start with 0, we can start with 1. We can do for I in range 1 through 5. So now it starts with 1, and it ends with 4. We can also change the amount of steps. So what do I mean by steps? Actually, it will tell you here, start, stop, step. So if we run this, it's going to print 1. It's going to skip 2 because a step is 2, so it's going 1, 3, 5. And remember, 5 is not inclusive, so it's just doing 1 and 3. So 1 yay, 3 yay. So yeah, when we talk about for loops, just remember that we want to run something a specific amount of times. It's not necessarily true and false like a while loop is. You saw that we ran a while loop until the condition is proven false. But yeah, for loops are very useful, very common. Eventually we'll use them in large scale applications. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Eventually we'll talk about nested loops. We'll also talk about nested conditional statements. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you learned something new. And I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.